about learning command line. So the simple answer for this question is graphical user interface or GUI interface like this one is helpful in many tasks, but they are not good for all tasks. And gradually when you learn command line, you will observe that you are able to do your day-to-day task or any task related to some programming much faster than you can do with your graphical user interface. Now the graphical user interface are user friendly at the first look, but when you want to do more about a program, for example knowing the details about what's happening in the background, then you may want to use command line, because by using command line you know all the background details of a program, right? Now, before diving into the world of Linux command line, you need to learn two terms. One is the shell and second is the terminal. Now, what is the shell? Simply put, the shell is a program that takes command from the keyboard and gives them to the operating system to perform, right? Now, a command line or shell, you can also say it's CLI. CLI stands for command line interface. Now, the second term is the terminal. A terminal is a tool which you can use to pass your shell commands. This is a program that opens a window and lets you interact with the shell. Now there are different operating system available for the Linux, but I will be using Ubuntu operating system. Now if you don't know how you can install Ubuntu on a VirtualBox or VMware player, I have the video on that, and you can watch them and install Ubuntu on your native Windows operating system also using VMware player or a VirtualBox, which are a virtual machine on which you can host your Linux operating system. So I will be using Ubuntu operating system, but you are free to use any other Linux operating system, and terminal commands are all same or almost the same on all Linux based operating system. Now on Ubuntu, how you can open a terminal? It's really easy. So you just need to go to this button and then just click it and then search for terminal. So just write terminal, and the first icon you will find here is your terminal. So when you click it, it will open the terminal, right? Now there is one command to open a terminal also, which is a keyboard shortcut. When you press Ctrl Alt T, it will also open a terminal. Okay, so this is the shortcut for opening the terminal. Now once you are in the terminal, then you can perform bunch of command. But before this, we need to understand what is a file system and how these file system work in Linux, right? So like all other operating system, the files on Linux system are also arranged in what we called a hierarchical directory structure, which means that they are organized in a tree-like pattern of directories. In Windows, you know directories as folders also. Now directories may contain files or other directories also. Now the most root or basic directory in Linux is the root directory, and under this directory all files and folders are residing. Now I will use this graphical interface to show you this file system of Linux. So I will just go here, which is files, and I will open this, and then I will go to this computer. So just click this option which says computer, and this is your root folder. Okay, and root folder start from this / you can see here. Okay, and then all the directories reside in this root folder. For example, home, lib, or bin, which contain all the binary binaries of your Linux operating system, and other folders which we'll learn later. right? So every Linux operating system has this root folder and under which all the files reside. Okay, now let's start our Linux command line journey. Now the first command you may want to learn is the pwd command, which is a present working directory command, and this shows you in which directory you are currently in. So let's give the pwd command. So just give pwd and press enter, and it says home slash programming knowledge, which is my username for this computer. Okay, so whenever you will open a terminal, by default the present working directory is your home directory, which is home slash your username. In my case it's programming knowledge, right? Now if you want to go to the root folder, what you need to do, so if you want to go to the root folder, there is a command called cd, which is a change directory command. We will learn this change directory command in details in the later video, but I will just show you how it works. So just give cd and then give forward slash here, which is our root directory. Okay, so just press enter, and then we will be in the root directory. So once again, when you press pwd command and press enter, then you can see we are now in the root directory. The other command is ls, which is list. This command also we are going to learn in detail in the next videos, but let's see how it works. So ls is to list all the files and directories in the present working directory. So just give ls and press enter, and it will show you the same directories and files which you can see here. So I will just make it a little bit smaller so that we can see. So you can see bin, dav, boot, etc, all the files and folders you will be able to find here in this user interface, as you can see here also, which are listed by using this ls command. Okay, so I think that's it for this video. In the next video we will start our journey with Linux command line, and we will learn the basic command and we will gradually move to the advanced stuff. So just remember this man command if you want to take the reference of all the references of a particular commands. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and bye for now. Hello guys, welcome to the next video on Linux command line tutorial for beginners. In this video we will learn how we can use cd command in Linux. Cd command we can use to change the current working directory in Linux. So let's see how we can use it. So first of all, I'm going to press Ctrl Alt T to open my terminal, and then I'm going to just use the command. So first of all, let's see the syntax of cd. So you can just use cd as it is, and it can be used with the directory name also. So you can just write there here, right? So first of all, whenever you give the cd command as it is going to land you in the current home directory, right? So you see it's the home. Whatever you open, whenever you open the terminal for the first time, it will land you there, right? And then for example, you want to go to somewhere. For example, we want to change directory to the root directory. As we have seen in the first video, root directory is this forward slash, and then press enter, and now we are in the root directory, and you are in your root directory by this forward slash here. And by default you have this tilde, which is a home. You're right. So first of all, let's see in which directory we are. So we are in a root directory, so we will just give pwd and see if we are in that directory or not. So you can see we are in root directory, right? Now once again, if you give cd and then this tilde symbol, then this means your home directory. Home directory is nothing but your home slash username, right? So once again I give this command, and then once again I give the pwd command, and you can see we are in now our home directory, right? So this tilde can be used also with cd command, right? Now there is a command something like cd dot dot, and it means we want to go to the parent directory of the current working directory. So for example, our current working directory is home slash programming knowledge, which is my username. So when I give a cd dot dot, then we will go one folder above, or parent of the current folder. So I will just press enter, and now you can see we are in the home folder. So I will just once again give pwd, and now we are in the home folder. So we go one folder above, right? In a same way, for example, I will once again go to my home directory by cd tilde, and then for example I want to ls first. Let's see ls and what are the directories and documents in this folders. So in my home directory we have desktop or document folder or other folders, right? So to go inside those folder or to change the directory, for example to the document folder, you can just write cd and then document. Okay, so just write cd document, something like this, and you will go to the documents folder. Once again I will go to my home folder by just giving the cd command, and then you can also go to the documents folder by just giving its absolute path. So you can just give cd home, then my username, which is programming knowledge, and then the documents folder. Okay, so you can either give the absolute path, which is home username documents, for example, or you can give the relative path, something like cd document. This is the relative path, right? So we are already in the document, so we will go home and then we can say cd documents, and we will go to the documents folder, right? So you can give absolute path or the relative path. Relative path is nothing but, so for example I do ls, and whatever directory you see inside your present working directory, you can just directly give the name of that directory. So for example cd, and then I can just give download at this time and press enter, and we are in the downloads, right? Now the next command is going to the directory inside the directory. So for example, let's go to our home and let's clear the screen for now, and let's see what we have in our document folder. So I will just go to the documents folder and I will just do ls, and in here I have the two files. But for example I will create one more folder here inside a documents folder. So I will just go inside the documents folder and I will create a new folder. For example I will say it's a book folder, books folder. Okay, and I want to go inside this folder. So how I can do this? I can just do cd, which will change the directory to the home directory, and I can just give the command cd documents and then books, something like this. So you can go in the books by giving this command and press enter, and we are inside this books folder. And then right now it has no files, but for example I want to create a document. I will say just test dot txt files, right? So dot txt file, and I will just do ls, and you see we have the txt file, test.txt file. Now next command is, for example, I want to navigate inside this books folder and I will create one more folder. There is a command to create a directory, by the way, but this command we are going to see in the later videos. That's why I'm not showing you this command right now, and I'm going to use this graphical view to create my folder. So for example, I will say this is my books folder. Okay, and if you observe, I have left a space between my and books, right? And I left this space intentionally, so when I do ls here, it will show me there is a folder called my books. But if you create a folder or directory with my book for with a space, then how you can navigate to this directory? For example, I will do my cd, and then I will just write my books and press enter, and it will give me the error because cd is just looking for the first argument after this cd command, and if it's a space, there are two arguments after this cd command. So how you can go inside the folder which has space between it? There are three options you can use to navigate such kind of folder. First option is you can just write cd and then do my, and then you give this backslash, and then you give books, for example, something like this. And when you press enter, you will go inside this my books folder. Okay, I will go once again one folder above. And the second option is, instead of using this backslash, you can just write double quote, and then you can just write my books. Okay, and press enter, and also you are in your my books folder, right? Once again, I will go back one folder ahead. And the third option, how you can go inside this folder of directory which has the space between it, you can just give single quote around your directory name. So press enter, and also you are in the same directory. Okay, so what are the command we have used today, or we have learned today? So I will just clear the terminal, and I will once again tell you what are the commands we have learned. So cd command, if you give, then you will go to your home directory. Okay, so I will give cd and I'm in my home directory. Now in order to navigate to a particular directory, I need to give its absolute path or relative path. So for example, I want to go to root, I will just say cd/root, and I'm in the root folder. Once again, I will go to my home folder, and for example, I want to go to cd user bin. Okay, so I will give its absolute path, and I'm in the cd user bin, and I can just list out all the content of this folder by ls, which we have seen in the last video. I will clear the terminal once again. The next command is the relative path. So for example, I will once again go to my home directory, and I will just say cd, and I want to navigate to documents, so I can just give cd documents. Or if I want to go one folder inside this document, I want to navigate to the books folder, I can just give this type of command, and press enter, and we are in the books folder. Now we have created a folder with a space between its name. Then you can use cd, and then either you can use backward slash between the space, or you can enclose this name between double quotes or single quotes, and you will be inside that directory and you can work with it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and bye for now. Hello guys, welcome to the next video on Linux command line tutorial for beginners. In this video we will learn how we can use a cat command in Linux. Cat is one of the most frequently used command on Linux. It has three related function with regard to text files. One is displaying text file, second is combining copies of text files, and third is creating new text file. So let's see how we can use cat command. So I will just press Ctrl Alt T to open my terminal. So I will just press Ctrl Alt T and it will open my terminal. Now the syntax for using cat command is you just need to write cat here and then you give options. So just give some options and then you give the file name. So for example, file 1, file 2 and so on. Okay, something like this. So let's see how we can use cat command. So first of all, you can just give cat and press enter, and you can see it's giving us this kind of cursor. So we can just type, for example, hello world, and then press enter, and it will echo whatever input we have given, right? So once again, I can say echo input and press enter, and it will echo it again. So you can see this is the basic functionality without any option for the cat command. But cat is not only the echoing program, it can do much more than echoing something. So to exit this cat command, you can just press Ctrl D, which means the end of the file. So just press Ctrl D and you are out of this cat command, right? Now first of all, let's see what files we have in our folder. So I will list all the files in the current folder, which is my home folder, and you can see these are all the files and directory in my home folder. So for example, I have this file called list1.txt. okay, and I will just show you what are the content of this file. So this file contains 3 lines, line 1, line 2, and I have a line break or a blank line here, and then I have the third line. Okay, so I want to print this text file on my terminal, so I can use cat and then the name of the file. So the name of the file is list1.txt and press enter, and it will display me the content of the file, same as like this. Okay, now for example, I want to show the content of 2 files. So you can see here I have list1.txt here, and I also have list2.txt also, right? So I will just show you the content of list2 also. So I have once again 3 lines and 1 blank line here, right? So for example, I want to display the content of both the files. I can just add one more file name here, list2.txt, and press enter, and then it will combine the content of both the file and display me on this terminal, right? So the first use of cat command, you can say, is for displaying the content of a file, right, or multiple files. Now there are some options related to cat command. So for example, I want to show the line number on the every line of the content of the file, for example. So I can use a cat and then -b, which will add line number to non-blank lines. Okay, so I will just give the name of my list1.txt, for example, and press enter, and you can see it adds the line number to the non-blank line. So you if you remember, my list1 have 1 blank line here, right, and it will skip or it will not add the line number to the blank line, but all the lines which have some content, it will add the line number to them. Now next command, first let me clear the terminal and press enter, so it will clear the terminal. The next command is cat minus n, and what it will do is it will add line number to all the lines. So for example, I will just say list1 dot text and press enter, and now it has added the line number to the blank line also, right? Now for example, I have a text file which have multiple line breaks, something like this, a big line breaks, right? And I want to display the content of the file, and I want to remove these all line break, big line break, and I would just want to show only one line break, right? So let me save this file, and then I will just say cat, and I will just give the command -s, and then the name of the file list1.txt, and press enter. And what this command does is squeezes blank lines to one blank line. Okay, so here there can be many lines, but it will squeeze all the blank line to only one blank line, and it will not affect the content of the file. Remember, it will only display the content of the file in this format, right? So it's not changing the content of the file, but only displaying it in our convenient manner, right? Now the next command is cat minus capital E command. So I will just revert my changes here, and I will save this file, and now I will just give cat minus capital E, and then I will just once again give this list1.txt, right? And then it adds this dollar symbol at the end of each line. Okay, so you know that this is the end of the line. Okay, so these are the basic commands and options related to cat command. Now if you want to know more options related to cat, you can just enter men. If you remember, in the earlier video I have shown you how to use men pages. So just use men and then just enter cat and press enter, and then you will be able to see there are more options related to cat command. For example, -a, which means show all, or -e, which is equivalent to -ve, or these are all the options which you can use with cat command. I just showed you the most important options with cat command. So just use man to read or learn more about this cat command, and when you press Q, you quit these man pages. Now the cat command can also create new files. First of all, what is redirection? Redirection simply means capturing output from a file, command or program and sending it as an input to another file, command or program. And let's see what are the options we have for the redirection. So for example, you want to transfer some things, some output. So I will just write output here, and then you want to redirect it to a file, for example. So in this case, we want to send some output to a file, and the pointing end of this arrow is the direction of your output. So you want to send the output to the file. So this point means the direction of your output, right? So let's see how we can use it. So in the last video, I've shown you how we can use the cat command in Linux. So we are going to use this cat command to create a file and then transferring our stream to this file. So just write cat here and then this angle bracket. This means we want to redirect our input or whatever output we are going to type in the terminal to a file, and let's name a file something. So for example, text.txt. Okay, and when I press enter here, you will see there is a new file created, right, as soon as you press enter. Now whatever you write here, then this content will be written to the file. For example, I will just write line 1, line 2, line 3 for example, and this will be written to your file. And to show the end of the file, you just need to press Ctrl and D. So just press Ctrl D to indicate that this is the end of your file, and then you are out of this cat command. And let's see what's the content of this test file. So I can just cat this test file here. So just press enter, and you can see the content of this test.txt file, right? Now for example, what I want to do is I want to once again transfer something else to this file. So once again I will just do cat with this angle bracket and then the file name, and then this time I want to add, for example, line 4 here, and then line 5 for example, and let's say I want to add one more line, for example line 6 here. Okay, and then I will just press Ctrl D to end this file, and now I want to see the content of this file. So I will just give cat.test.txt, right, and press enter, and now you will see that this test.txt file contains line 4, 5 and 6, and earlier whatever content we have written to the file is overwritten by the new content, right, this content. Now for example, you want to append to the file, you want that this file should not be overwritten, but it should be whatever you want to add to a file, it will be added from the next line, for example, right? So what we do in that case, we give the same command with 2 angle brackets. So this is for appending to the existing content of a file, right? So when you give 2 angle brackets and press enter, and now I will say line 7 here, line 8 and line 9 for example. Okay, and I will press Ctrl D, and then once again I will see the content of the file, and now it shows me line 3, 4, 5, which is from my last command, and then I have added these 3 new lines. So if you want to append to the existing content of a file, you may want to use these 2 angle brackets. Okay, now sometimes you want to add 2 files and then transfer the content to the new file, right? So I have these 2 files, list 1 and list 2 for example. So let me show you the content of these 2 files. First I will clear the terminal. It should be clear and press enter, and then cat list 1 for example. It contains these 3 lines, and let me show you the content of list 2 also. So it contains these 3 lines also, right? Now I want to add the content of these 2 files and transfer it to a new file. So what I can do is I can just write cat, and then I will just write the name of these 2 files, list 1 and then space list 2, and then I will give the angle bracket here, something like this, and then I want to transfer the content to a new file. For example, let's say its name is out.txt, something like this. Okay, and let me make it a little bit bigger so we can see the command. So this is the command. So I want to join these 2 files and then transfer the content of the concatenation of these 2 files to a new file. So when I press enter, the new file will be created. This file already exists here, so it's not creating, but if it doesn't exist, it will create this file. and then when I see the content of this out.txt file, I can see the combination of our two files. So in this way you can add any number of files. For example, you have 3 or 4 files, you can just write list 1, list 2, list 3 and list 4 and then redirect it to a new file. Now for example, I would just want to redirect the content of these two files to the file 2 itself. So what should I do? I can just write something like this. So I just write cat list 1 list 2 and I want to transfer the output to the list 2 itself. So I will just write here list 2 and press enter, and it says input file is output file here, right? So you cannot do this like this. So what you need to do here, you need to do something like this. So you just need to give the list 1.txt and then append it to the second file, which is our list2.txt file, right? Instead of giving this command, if you give this command, this will work. So when you press enter, this command is executed, and let's see the content of list2 now. So just write list2.txt and press enter, and now you can see list2 contain the combination of these two files, right? So in this way you can use redirection in Linux. So it's not particularly related to the cat command. You can do the same thing with, for example, I will just write ls-al to out.txt. So I will just write out.txt and press enter, and when I see the content of out.txt, it will give me the output of ls command, right? So it's not particularly related to cat command. You can use this redirection to any other command, with any other command, for example ls or cd or any other command or program, right? So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and bye for now. Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Linux command line tutorial for beginners. In this video we will learn how we can use mkdir command in Linux. We can use mkdir command to create directories in Linux. So let's see how we can do it. So first of all, just press Ctrl Alt T to open your terminal. And for example, I want to just change directory to my desktop folder. So I will just write desktop and press enter. And in the desktop, I want to create a directory called image. So I can just give mkdir command, which is the command to create any directory, and then the name of the directory, for example image. Okay, and I will press enter, and then it's going to create this directory called image. Now for example, I want to create a subdirectory inside this image directory. I can just write mkdir once again and the directory name which already exists, and then I will give the / for the subdirectory. For example, I want to create a subdirectory called pics, and I will press enter, and then when I open this image directory, it has this pics directory, right? Now for example, you want to create the subdirectory from the command or for the directory which don't really exist. So for example, I want to give this command, for example mkdir on the desktop, and then I want to create a directory called names, and then I will give a name, for example mark here. Okay, so this directory names doesn't exist on my desktop, you can see here, right? So when I give this command, it will give me the error, and the error says cannot create directory names /mark, no such file or directory, because this names directory doesn't exist, which is a parent directory. It cannot create this mark subdirectory inside the names. So in order to create the directory structure, you need to use this flag to your mkdir command, which is -p. Okay, and this flag you can use to create a directory structure. Okay, so this flag can be given in two ways. This is the short version of giving this flag, and if you want to know the full version, you can just give two dash and then you can just give parents command here. Okay, so the flag name is parents. Okay, and if you give this command, it's going to create a directory for you also and subdirectory for you, which doesn't even exist. Okay, so I'm going to just give this short flag, which is -p or -p, and I will just press enter here, and it's going to create this directory, and it doesn't give me error. And when I go inside this directory, there is one more directory called mark here, right? So if you want to create directory or subdirectory which doesn't really exist, you can use -p flag which with your mkdir command. Now, for example, you want to make or create several directories inside your parent directory. So what you can do, so you can just write mkdir command, just write mkdir and then -p. And for example, I want to create some directory with some names inside this names directory. So I will just give the name of the names directory, and then I will just give these curly brackets, and inside the curly brackets I can provide the list of directory which I want to create. For example, I want to create a directory called John, I want to create a directory called Tom, for example, and I want to create a directory called Bob. So I want to create three directories inside this names directory. So let me open this directory which is names, and right now it has only one directory which we have already created. So let me press enter and let's see what happens. And when I press enter, it creates some directory with this curly brace start and then the first name and then comma. So this way you can create, but you don't have to give the space between these commas. So just remove the space between the commas and press enter once again, and this time it will create these three directory. So always remember, when you give a space, it will not create the correct directory structure you want. So you need to give the comma without the space. So this format of creating the multiple directory is correct without spaces, and this will give you errors. As we have seen, it has created this directory which we did not wanted. Okay, so in this way you can use mkdir command in Linux. I hope you've enjoyed this video.